So one of our jobs is, it's not about tattling, it's about watching out for the owner's best interest, our customer's best interest, to identify things that may be a problem later. Experience is the most valuable thing any of us have. Ron's been at this for many, many years. He can look and almost always say, that's going to be a problem later. That's been a problem on other jobs in the past. That might look like it's a problem, but I know what it's about. It won't be a problem later. That's a very key point to the success of our business, is simply having the experience to know what to flag, what not to flag, which questions to ask. You know, oftentimes information, the best information is a function of asking the right questions and knowing what that would even be. That's it. You know, we're 4 weeks into this thing. It's a 12-week job. It looks like we're not that far along, but all of construction is about planning and having things drop into place at the right time. If we were in here doing finishes or doing things that were ahead of schedule, they'll probably get damaged. They'll probably get ruined. You know, we're not tempered yet, meaning we're not heated and cooled and controlled environmentally yet. We don't have our storefronts in, so you know, not going faster isn't always better. It'd be great if we could just throw things together real quickly, including inspections and everything that goes with that. But sometimes going too fast can cause problems. There's a right speed to go. Taking too long is no good for anybody. It costs more. But going too fast sometimes can cost in itself. So the owners have their own vendors that we coordinate, that we have to be ready for when they show up. We can be ready for them early. That's fine, but we wouldn't dare be late because they're coming in from out of town and making arrangements and planning on things being the way they need them, planning on that communication. So our scheduling is not only of our trades, it's also landlord's people, our customer, the owner's trades that work just for Shinola, and go from job to job doing what Shinola asks them to do through our coordination on this job. That's what the weekly conference calls are about. That's what progress reports are about. So photos. In today's technology, contractors have got to be, it's just a must that you have to be savvy with uploading pictures, making notes, showing what's important, showing progress. There could be, and there always are, so many things that you think you've thought of that when someone's looking at a picture, they say, oh, by the way, isn't that pipe going to stick out? There's a big downspout leader coming off that patio upstairs. That's what that white stuff is. That's going to stick out into the room. That vertical piece of framing represents the corner of a false column that hides all that stuff. But guess what? Some of it's not going to be hidden. It sticks out. Can't be moved, not practically. So someone looking at photos might notice that from 1,000 miles away and say, are we sure we want that, or do we want to do something differently? Well, we don't know necessarily what they want. We got the idea by the blueprints, but nothing, no plans, engineer drawings or architectural drawings or schematics can ever show everything that may or may not be there. So posting photos regularly and know what photos to take. You can throw too much information up there. Next thing you know, people aren't going through all of it and they miss something. But posting photos helps share information that gets teamwork going. And it's a juggling act between, do we slow a job down over someone asking questions about something, or do we let it roll and fix it later, or is it even need fixed? Is it a problem in general? Or some customers will say, no, that's my look. I'll give you an example. Don Pablos made us take bricks down because they were too straight. They wanted authentic Mexican food, authentic Mexican building. So inside of very crooked brick walls were structural steel that held the building up, and the brick walls were, in their specs it said, have your mud carriers lay the bricks and have your masons mix the mud. And they meant it. They wanted it to look crooked and out of place and weird, and they'd pick up trash out of the parking lot and have us lay it into their walls. The reason why I bring that up is we don't always know the end product goal that the customer wants. By sharing information regularly, we will learn by them looking at those photos and our reports, and they will let us learn about what it is they need. And it's not always in the drawings. That's how this business is. our goal, and has been for a long time, is to work for chains, so where we can give better service by learning what they need, what's important to them, what's not as important to them, and what we can do better. Suggestions from architects, us, engineers, our trades. No general contractor can know everything about every trade. We learn through experience. We learn a lot through making mistakes, but we also learn when the trades come and share, why are we doing this when we could have done that? Well, I've never even heard of that before. Well, it's a new technology, but it's the code. It's working great out there. It goes faster and costs less, and people are loving it. There's a lot of that going on. Recently, in instant water heaters and LED lighting. There's just so much, the industry changes constantly due to technology, not unlike many other industries. But when you think of construction, you think of rocks and mud and sticks and laborers and big heavy machinery, and all that exists. But the technological side of our industry is where it's at for the future. I think that's true of a lot of businesses. That's about it. An example of an owner-vendor yesterday, the owner's POS, that's point of sale and low voltage and data and all that stuff. Their vendors were in doing their pre-wire, getting their stuff in before we close up. And that big cabinet in the back, the big black cabinet, is part of what we had to be ready for them to install. The conduit that goes with it, the power, the location, the place to mount it, the non-combustible plywood backer board that'll eventually be, painted and made to look better. I don't know what the finish is actually, but that's typical. And the music system, getting ready for owner vendors and owner vendors is just trades that are in construction that do very specific stuff over and over again for that customer. So that's it. Today's activities are to continue getting the walls ready to close up, get inspections approved. Each trade has its own inspector. Some inspectors inspect more than one trade at a time, but most don't. So there'll be a plumbing inspector, there'll be an electrical inspector, there'll be a mechanical HVAC inspector, there'll be a framing inspector. That's usually it for cover-up. Cover-up meaning we can put the drywall up. So that's our focus right now. And then planning out how